Hi, I'm free in Pennsylvania. I'm the resident wingnut.
And I'm Patrick Sarter. They call me a left-wing radical. Welcome to
Swamp Talk. Apparently Private Family Matters doesn't include a decision to purchase health insurance or how our children are fed. As reported in an article in the left-wing rag USA Today, President Obama echoed his support for abortion rights today, the 38th anniversary of the Supreme Court's pro-choice decision in Roe v. Wade. Government should not intrude on private family matters, Obama said in a statement, adding that he also supports policies to prevent unintended pregnancies.
Freak, please send a link to this law mandating what food children eat, including the criminal charges they will face for eating Twinkies and not enough broccoli, as well as how the government intends to use what form of surveillance to enforce these laws.
If links idiot left-wing crazy in American. How about this? On Tuesday, what will we hear at the State of the Union from President Barry Soetoro? It seems the cover-up is not about the birth certificate, but Barack Hussein Obama is not his legal name. I wonder what felonies have been committed by Barry Soetoro. Opening bank accounts, filing of tax forms, campaign forms, census forms, or maybe signing other US government documents certifying that all the information is true. The fact that Obama was adopted by Indonesian Lolo Soetoro in the 1970s, and his name was legally changed to Barry Soetoro at that time, is most likely the reason he is spending millions of dollars to hide his birth certificate. He never filed the papers to change his name back to Barack Hussein Obama, Jr. So any birth certificate produced by the state of Hawaii would list him as Barry Soetoro. If one were only remotely curious or an IQ of a second grader, one would inquire, why is Obama so secretive about his birth certificate? Is he a U.S. citizen? Has he lied about parents? Or is there another reason? The easiest way to answer any question is with proof, which Obama, and now the governor of Hawaii, has declined to provide. The governor even campaigned on providing the birth certificate, and now he has backed away. Any curiosity or more liberal ignorant bliss?
Freak, please explain how millions of dollars were spent by the president to hide his birth certificate. In the United States, nobody's birth certificate is up for public view. It would cost me exactly $0 for you not to be able to get a copy of my birth certificate.
Typical ignorance of the law by the left, along with another campaign of lies. By the way, does this newfound respect for the law by the left include illegal immigrants?
Obama is practically a border cop. He's deported record numbers of illegal immigrants. New data suggest that the dramatic rise in deportations for illegal immigrants since 9/11 has continued under President Obama, hitting record levels in 2009. Sorry, you've got it backwards again. George W. Bush loved to talk about it, but he didn't deport. But following the law does include not handing over the national treasury to Halliburton on no-bid contracts.
More disinformation and character assassination from the left while protecting one of their own. While the left denigrates Fox News, one of the biggest distorter of fact remains the New York Times. The link reports the call by Francis Fox Piven to violence by the left in the U.S. Piven said an effective movement of the unemployed will have to look something like the strikes and riots that have spread across Greece in response to the austerity measures forced on the Greek government by the European Union, or like the student protests that recently spread with lightning speed across England in response to the prospect of greatly increased school fees. And in typical liberal fashion, the New York Times makes Piven the victim and attacks Glenn Beck. Never mind, he was right and she is calling for violence again. The rag New York Times tries to blame the right. What is endangering her life is her own treasonous calls for violence against this country. The left continues to lie to us and themselves.
First and foremost, freak, every time I leave you alone for a few minutes you have recycled every single insult for me and used them for other people. Damn it, freak, those insults I thought were reserved for me and me only. Make up your mind, is APR, M0 Mentum 0 Re or Shep the worst idiot in the world? You have to stop giving away these insults. You've become an insult slut. I feel so abandoned. Second, when you say you will continue to support candidates who don't hate this country. You mean people who wish to bring the economy up again by using tried methods, provide healthcare to the people, rather than people like Republicans who sell out our country to the highest bidder. Yes, we all will support Democrats who have in their actions consistently shown a love for the people of this country, rather than to sell it out to the highest bidder. When will you stop hating America?
Damn it, I love America and Sarah Palin. How is this for one more continuing lie from the venerable left and the high priests of truth in the liberal American way? New York Times readers, however, ought to hesitate before scurrying to speed dial their Congress reptiles and demand an end to this preventable epidemic of gun ownership. To begin with, that repeated phrase, 9 out of 10, has a euphonious ring, but Blow's data is simply inaccurate. I was unable to find any United States homicide statistics in the source cited, the United Nations Small Arms Survey, which for the most part discusses the proliferation of guns in places like Timor and Yemen. According to the Department of Justice, the percentage of homicides for guns in the United States since 1977 has risen slightly from 62 to 68, less than 7 out of 10, not 9 out of 10. The strategy for the left is simple: repeat a lie often and pretend it is true. One should not expect a correction from the New York Times, either.
Data are numbers and other information to be placed into an equation. Being a scientist does not mean that you must be liberal, but, because of the strong anti-reality stand of the Republican Party, you are very unlikely to be a part of the Republican Party. Replacing the words "a hospice where your grandmother may be surrounded by the clergy of her choice, in a prettier setting with far more visitation time for friends and family as well as palliative care for to-death panels, where special needs children will be euthanized," is not about pressing the wrong number into a calculator. It is about a desire to deceive.
Okay, new swamp talk topic since we've just spent the last 6 hours arguing past each other. Auto bailouts. Obama kept the uninsured auto workers afloat while screwing the bond and equity holders. The American taxpayer kept General Motors afloat. Hiring union workers is not a sign of growth but of growing overhead now that the initial stock sale is done.
Freak, if General Motors went under, the stock and bond values would have been $0. So, put a sock in it.
Your stupidity in investments is matched by your stupidity in, well, everything else. Both would have been better served if General Motors went through a bankruptcy proceeding as they ended up doing after Obama shafted the investors to redistribute wealth to the United Auto Workers.
Wealth, in the English language, means equipment or the means of production. How many welders or other pieces of equipment did the workers get to take home? I heard it was none. Also, General Motors would have been shut down and auctioned off if it faced bankruptcy. Its parts were worth very little to anybody, except the Japanese car makers who wanted nothing to do with Detroit. Man, I enjoy our civilized discussions on politics and the American way.
Having a delusional idiot talk about reality is priceless. So was Obama lying in his book? Not the children's one. Well, I guess they were all children's books. When he wrote he decided to become a community organizer, a taxpayer-funded rabble-rouser, to combat the evil that Reagan was doing in Washington, or is he lying now by honoring Reagan in order to try and retrieve independent votes after they decided he was an extreme leftist? Or both, since his campaign then and now is a fraud?
Please send a link where the government funds a position called rabble-rouser or a place in Obama's book where he called Reagan evil. I can show you many sources in the climate change model which particular spots on Earth on particular days get much colder than usual. But you don't care about facts. You are at war against reality.
Well, folks, I just don't know how we were going to come to any agreements today, so it's time to sign off from today's educational video. For Swamp Talk, I'm Free in Pennsylvania.
And I'm Patrick Sarter. Until next time, maybe take the time to beat a wingnut.
Or a tree hugger. Good night.
Good night.
I love America more.
I do.
Idiot.
Good night, America.